how much of the decisions being made now are motivated by a true melding of interests, and how many are being motivated by animosity towards the way which President Donald Trump has treated Prime Minister Modi and India more broadly. Put another way, is a few months or a few years of Trump worth reorienting India toward Russia for decades to come? From Russia's perspective, the visit is extremely positive, and India has bestowed honors on Vladimir Putin that he can hardly get anywhere else in the world. I would actually argue that Donald Trump deserves a Nobel Prize for bringing India and Russia together the way he did. That said, while Indians may celebrate many of the memorandums of understanding and agreements, the question for me is, how many of these agreements are actually going to come to fruition once the pomp and circumstance moves on? And second of all, how much of the decisions being made now are motivated by a true melding of interests, and how many are being motivated by animosity towards the way which President Donald Trump has treated Prime Minister Modi and India more broadly? Put another way, is a few months or a few years of Trump worth reorienting India toward Russia for decades to come? It's being perceived in two different ways. If you're Donald Trump, it's being perceived through the lens of, I told you so. That this embrace of India towards Russia is affirming what Donald Trump wants his spin to be. Because Donald Trump isn't going to admit that he is the one at fault. Now, if you're the 65% of Americans who dislike Donald Trump, according to the recent polls, then what we are seeing now is the result of Donald Trump's gross incompetence. There's a lamenting that the United States-India partnership, which has built over 25 years, is being shredded by a senile incompetent in the White House. So, either way, of course, the Americans interpret events through the lens of the United States. And we don't fully understand, or at least the White House doesn't fully understand, that the cost of Donald Trump's actions. Look, a lot of us are still flabbergasted at how Donald Trump has reversed U.S.-India ties. And many people question what motivates Donald Trump. Perhaps it was the flattery of the Pakistanis. More likely, it was bribery on the part of the Pakistanis or their backers in Turkey and Qatar towards Donald Trump. But, this is if that's the case, this is one disastrous bribe that is going to saddle America with a strategic deficit for decades to come. It should be the U.S. president celebrating India. And the fact that it's not is evidence of the sheer incompetence which has marked President Donald Trump's second term. What Americans don't understand is that Prime Minister Modi was elected by Indians to represent Indian interests. India is the most populous country. It's soon to have the third largest economy in the world. And for that, it needs energy. Now, there's two problems with the U.S. approach. First, the U.S. is being hypocritical because we purchase from Russia. We purchase goods and materials that we don't have alternative markets for. So we are being hypocritical when we lecture India. At the same time, if we do not want India to purchase Russian fuel, there's a simple fix to that. What are we going to do to provide fuel to India for cheaper and in the quantities India needs? If we don't have an answer for that, our best approach is simply to shut up, because India needs to take care of Indian security first. Now, one of my bigger concerns moving forward, however, is with regard to IMEC, the India-Middle East Economic Corridor, which Prime Minister Modi had unveiled at the G20 summit just in September of 2023. The question many are going to start to ask, not only in Washington, but in Europe, in Israel, and in the Middle East, is whether the agreements Prime Minister Modi signs with President Putin now are somehow going to trump all the planning for the India-Middle East Economic Corridor. Put another way, is anger at the United States and pique at President Donald Trump going to end up driving a wedge between India and many of its other alliances in West Asia and Europe?